Hello, everybody. Welcome to Speech 102 Online. I am your instructor, Bethany Chambers, and I'm very excited to have you in class this semester. So this video is going to help you navigate Moodle and get a better sense for some of the expectations and basics of the course. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, so now we are on the Moodle landing page. I apologize, I wasn't actually on the front one. You are going to make sure and review all of the contents of the Start Here or in Course Orientation module. Obviously, you've already navigated here since you're watching this video, but please make sure and review all of these items in detail because it gives you a better idea of how the course is laid out, what is expected of you, because obviously we have the course syllabus and policies available. There's information about the textbook and any additional materials that you're going to need to complete the course. And then also just some general resources available for you and information about grading, etc. So please be sure to comb through that with great detail. And then I want to walk you through what a typical week will look like and give you some information on that. So each week you're going to see the course and module objectives that give you a sense of the types of things that we're aiming at learning each week. And then you'll also see a task list. I ask that you please complete these tasks in chronological order because it makes the most sense to have a little bit more of a backstory before you jump into your assignments. So for the very first week, you're going to need to register for Connect, which I'll give you a little bit more information about that shortly. And then you're going to review the video lectures that are available for you, and then also read the chapters from your textbook. Typically, you're going to be looking at about 2 chapters per week to keep us on track because our textbook is 20 chapters. And then in this particular week, you guys are going to be submitting a central idea for your very first major speech. There's always going to be assignment details available for the assignment. So once you come in, it will tell you what you're doing. It will also list any information that might help you complete the task if there's a video or what have you that's related. And then you'll go from there. You may also have discussion boards that come up every once in a while. This week, the very first week, you guys are doing an introductions discussion board. Since we're not meeting in class, this will be your opportunity to get to know people, let them know about you, and share some general information about you so that we can sort of learn more about each other. On that note, just in case, I want to reiterate, or I should say, make sure that you understand this is an entirely online course. It is asynchronous, meaning we do not meet at all. Even when you're giving your speeches, these are all done online. So you are recording your speeches and submitting them for review. We do not meet. So just keep that in mind. It's probably a little bit different, something maybe you weren't expecting. So I want to make sure that you are aware. At the bottom of each week, you'll see then the actual assignment links, the video links that are available. There's also static PowerPoint presentations. Any of the video lectures that I give, I will follow these PowerPoints within the video, but you can go back and review the static PowerPoint on your own later if you need to. For discussion boards, each of them, you're going to have, there's 2 separate steps pretty much. You're going to post your initial discussion post or topic. Those are always due Thursdays by midnight. And then those are going to be generally, I will always make sure and mention if it's different, but they're almost always 250 words for that initial post. And then on Sunday by midnight, you need to respond to at least 2 of your peers for a total of 200 words. So, shoot for about 100 words per post, or if you need to, you can throw out a third post to come to that 200-word total. I know sometimes it can be a little trickier, so just 200 words total between 2 and 3 posts. Anything that you're graded on, the discussion boards, the assignments, will have rubrics that accompany those assignments. And so you can see those in the assignments when you're completing them. I'm not able to show you because I have a different Moodle view than you do, but you'll be able to see where the points are coming from, how you're getting graded. And that's the same case for general assignments and speeches as well. So if you're not familiar with posting on a discussion board, you'll just add a new discussion topic, put in a subject and your message, and then post to the forum. So that initial post of 250 words will go up on Thursday, and then you'll come back to the discussion board, look for other people's topics, and then reply to those, the minimum of 2 others. In terms of speeches, so you have 4 major speeches. And those typically take place approximately every 3 or 4 weeks. Those are pretty much the driving force behind the assignments that you complete each week. So we start taking little chunks. So I ask you to put together a central idea first, and then start working towards an outline, and then actually giving your speech. So you'll see that a lot of the contents of all of your weekly assignments are leading up to each of these major speeches. And that's pretty much how the course is set up. So you can see weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all involving the ceremonial speech, which is your first major speech. And then weeks 5 through 7 are in relation to your instructional speech. Weeks 8, 9, 10, and 11 are in relation to your informative speech. And then 12 through 15 are your persuasive speech, excuse me. You also have 4 minor speeches that also take place typically every 3 or 4 weeks. So you'll give a major speech 1 week, and then you typically have a week off, and then you give a minor speech, and it has that same back and forth. So you can see the very first speech that you're giving is week 2. It's the Tell Us Your Story practice speech. So this gives you a general overview of what you're going to be putting together. These minor speeches don't require anything turned in advance. This is just ultimately time for you to practice, to get a speech out there, to figure out what it is you need to do to prepare, and then also to get feedback from me so that you have a better idea of what you should be doing for your major speeches. And the minor speeches are all within the same realm of the major speech that you're working on. So this first Tell Us Your Story practice speech falls within the ceremonial speech realm. So it's helping you, again, work on whatever major speech it is that you're completing for that module. You'll see there's a rubric available for you that you can follow so that you have an idea of what you'll be graded on. And then I want to make sure that you're aware of how you're actually going to submit your speeches. So as I mentioned, they do have to be recorded, and there's lots of different programs that can do that. So really it's up to you how you record the speech itself. But you'll need to use a YouTube channel, which everybody has access through their SWMISH accounts if you don't already have one of your own. So you're going to need to set those videos up on YouTube, and you can set them as unlisted. Just don't set them as private because then nobody else can see them. You can leave them public, but I don't necessarily recommend that because then of course anybody can see them and you might not want that. So make sure you set them as unlisted and share the link with me on the assignment. So your submission itself will be a YouTube link. The other thing for the major speeches, you guys have a peer feedback component that you have to complete. So when you do your major speeches, you'll need to post the YouTube link to that major speech assignment. So the first one is your ceremonial speech. So you need to share the YouTube link with me, but then you also need to share it to the peer feedback discussion board. So you'll come in here and add a discussion topic with your YouTube link. With these discussion boards, you don't need to have any type of initial post other than just the YouTube link. But you do need to reply to at least 2 other people. So in that discussion board, you'll look through, find at least 2 speeches, watch them, and then provide feedback. And that's what your discussion post will comprise of. It's going to be the feedback that you're offering to your peers. And I give more detail here, but I just strongly urge you to be honest with people. Give them feedback that's going to help them with their future speeches. So you don't have to feel like it should be just all sunshine and rainbows. Granted, please don't be rude or try to drag someone down. So, pepper it with a little bit of good job, this was great, etc. But give specific examples, like I saw this happening and that was really good. You did it at this particular moment. But then also mix in some of that constructive criticism that is done with respect, and be specific. Like I said, pinpoint things, not just, I really liked it. Why did you like it? Specifically, what about it stood out that made you like it, etc., etc. And it will make more sense after you guys get a little bit more background information from the first few weeks of reading about what it is you will be looking for, what it is that I'm looking for in your speeches. So at this point, don't feel completely lost, because it's perfectly understandable that you won't necessarily grasp this yet, because this won't come into play until week 4. Okay, so major speeches, as I said, you'll post the YouTube link to the general assignment as well as the discussion boards. But I want to talk a little bit more about the layout or the setup of those major speeches. I had mentioned that you're taking little chunks. You start with the central idea. Those are due for the ceremonial speech the first week of class. That's going to ask you to present a topic and the central idea to give me an idea of what you plan on doing with your speech. I'll get back to you and I'll tell you whether I think it's going to work, if it fits the criteria for that type of speech. And then you'll start working on your outlines. Your outlines, there's plenty more to come, I promise, information-wise on outlines, but they should be detailed, complete sentences, laid out exactly as you plan to give your speech. So as you write it, that should be what you intend to say in your speech. You're not going to be marked down for not doing it exactly that way. It's just, I want to have the best idea possible of what you plan on doing in your speech. So it's very important that you take those seriously. So you'll submit those outlines, then you'll get feedback from me letting you know, maybe I have some ideas for improvement that you can work on. And then you'll have typically a week afterwards to start whittling your outlines down to your speaking outline, which I promise you'll hear more about later in upcoming videos. And then practicing to, get ready and actually record your speech. So after that component is done, obviously you record your speech, you participate in the peer feedback discussion boards, and then you also have a speech review component. So you're going to then, typically the week after, you're going to submit, and it's not here, of course. There it is, ceremonial speech review. Each of the major speeches, it asks you to review your speech. So you will watch your video and you'll look at it from a critical lens and think about how you prepared and how you delivered your speech. I have in each of these some general prompts that can sort of guide your discussion. I ask that you don't actually try to answer all of these questions. You pick a few that really stand out to you that you feel you would benefit most from thinking about and writing about, because the idea of the review is to think about what went well and then how you can repeat that later on in your other speeches, or maybe what didn't go so well and what you need to work on as you move forward. So that is the whole rationale for these reviews. Now, that pretty much covers speech stuff. But then you also have the McGraw-Hill /Connect component. So 20% of your grade is the Connect assignments. And these are all done by accessing the link that shows up in the right-hand side of this toolbar here, which typically you'll see on almost every page. You will visit that link. It won't look like this if you haven't already registered. You're going to have to find, you'll end up searching for the title of the book, find it, and then you'll have to enter the code that you purchased. And then that gives you access to the online Connect work. And then you'll click this button, and then it will direct you to the McGraw-Hill Connect page. In terms of the textbook, just to clarify, you don't need a hard copy version of your textbook. When you purchase that code, which is required, that gives you access to the online version of the textbook, and that is all that's required. And then it also gives you the actual assignment component, the questions that you have to complete. So that gives you a better landing point for all of your stuff, and you don't have to go back and forth between a hard copy and the Connect, so it's not required. Now, this is going to look a little bit different for a couple of reasons. First of all, this page is the instructor view, so I'm going to switch to the student view. And these assignments right now are not indicative of the setup that you guys will see. This is set up for a different class because I haven't actually scheduled the assignment due dates, but it serves its purpose. It gives you an idea. So these first 4 here that you see, they're all marked with SPEE. That stands for Smart Book. That means that those are actual assignments that you have to complete. You'll see a lot more because you won't be completing 5 chapters at a time. So you'll end up seeing them broken down a lot more. Then at the bottom, you will see these little leaflet, they look like books. Those are each of the chapters that you will read. And I have them all broken out just so that it's easier for you to access. So that's another way to get to the textbook broken up into chapters. So to actually complete the assignments, you will click these little blue arrows over here on the right-hand side of the screen and then select begin. I strongly urge you to do the reading first. There's a couple of reasons, of course. If you don't do it first, you probably won't do it at all. I'm not ignorant of that, but the questions that you're completing, they go by concept mastery. So if you haven't read the textbook yet and you try to take or start the questions, you're probably more than likely going to get more wrong because you're just guessing. What happens though, the problem is that if you get a question wrong, the system not only requires you to repeat that question and answer it correctly, but it may actually even add in more questions because it's saying, okay, they don't understand this concept. So we're going to make sure by the end of this, they've got it, which means you might have to answer a question and then like 2 or 3 other similar questions that all relate to that concept. So this could take what, in this case, this assignment is estimated to take 2 hours and 44 minutes. You could instead then be looking at it taking 4 or 5 hours if you're having to answer additional questions for all the questions that you get incorrect. So it is not wise to just guess because that's going to add a lot of time to however long the assignment takes you. So you want to start with your reading. And you'll see that it's set up just like a regular textbook would be. It's paginated. There's things in here that you don't necessarily need to read. Some of the related reading here, a lot of the blue stuff, you can usually skim over. It's not as important that you read it. So you just go through, read all of the content, and then when you're finished, you can go to questions just by clicking that blue button. Or if you're on that initial page that we saw just a minute ago, then you could click the start questions there. So you're going to obviously answer a variety of different questions. They can be true and false, multiple choice, maybe you sort answers, things like that. If you don't know the answer to a question, you actually have a nice little cheat feature of sorts. You can click this reading button and it will take you to the place in your textbook that is going to help you answer that question. So there's really no reason why you shouldn't get the question right, because it's feeding the answer to you. Obviously, you're going to have to read a little bit, but then, oops, I don't want to cancel. That way there is a little bit of help so that you don't get those questions wrong. And then we're going to return. This is not false. And then to actually log, excuse me, it is false. To log your answer, you're going to rate your level of confidence in your answer. I don't think this actually has any bearing on anything, so I don't usually worry about it, but we'll just say hi. And then it's correct. Okay, great. And you'll just go through. You don't need to finish all the questions at once because obviously it can take a little while, but I strongly recommend that when you're done, you click exit assignments. Because I have heard from students in the past that what happens is if they just close out of their browser, it doesn't save their progress for some reason. There's some glitch that can occasionally happen. So exit the assignment, then that way your progress is actually tracked. The other thing about Connect is that the deadlines are very hard and fast in the system. So all of your Connect assignments are due Sundays by midnight. And if for some reason you're not going to be able to finish by Sunday at midnight, do not try to do it after it is due. You will get a 0 on it. Even if you finish it, even if it's 100% correct, Connect will log that as a 0. And that's what will actually get ported over, exported into Moodle. So if you don't think you're going to finish in time, or you know you're not going to finish in time, contact me and ask for an extension. I understand that every once in a while, something like that happens. You need a little bit of extra time, but you need to talk to me first so I can extend that due date so that you get credit for it. And definitely stay on top of this. Don't wait until the last minute because it can take a while, especially if you're getting questions wrong. So it's better to be safe than sorry when you're looking at this. And, you know, don't wait until Sunday night at 9 p.m. or something. It's just not going to cut it. And then let's see, I think in general, that gives you a pretty good idea of what you're looking at for the semester. And just a reminder, in general, most of your assignments for discussion boards, those initial posts are due Thursday by midnight. And then all other general assignments are going to be due by midnight on Sundays, but they are all laid out in the assignment details. So you will make sure, you'll be able to make sure that you know when they are due, either by going to the assignments or going to the calendar, which is on this left-hand side of the toolbar. And that actually shows the entire semester's worth of assignments. So yeah. So I believe that's it. And I most definitely, if you have any questions or concerns, by all means, please let me know. This is obviously going to be a little bit different, doing everything online. So I totally understand if you have questions. It would be perfectly understandable. So please reach out to me via email or on Moodle through the chat feature. And we can also try to set up a Zoom meeting, a Zoom office time with me, if that's something that you would prefer to do, if you just have a couple of quick questions and it's easier to talk about them on here. But yes, I wish you the best of luck and I look forward to a great semester. Take care and thank you.